I made a decision when I was 40 years old. I was only going to work with good human beings. Start with the person, start with the connection, and move from there.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Talk2Rami. I am here today with Paul Manivannan. Did I say it right?
Correct. Well done.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And he's a true entrepreneur, and the most importantly, he loves people. And then we have this in common, that we both understand the power in people in life and any organization. So we're going to talk about that and who it is and how you started, all of that stuff. But before that, please, if you like this episode, make sure you share it, because by you doing that, we're going to help so many other people. Paul, welcome. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you inviting me in.
All the way from Manchester.
All the way from Manchester. I flew in just for you, Rami, today.
Thank you.
All those hours away, but I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you. But you have a very interesting story and very interesting character. And we were talking off the camera, and I said that you are the connected, and you shook your head. I said, yes. I said, basically, you are the guy, you put people together and you make things happen. Make sure you call Paul.
Better call Paul.
Better call Paul. Yes. That's his tagline, folks. I love it. I love it. Better call Paul. But tell me how your journey started, man.
Gosh, I mean, it's a.
How did you get into the people business?
So I think I'm going to trace this back. It sounds quite romantic of me, but I'm going to trace this back to my father. My father was an immigrant that came to the UK in the 70s. He went to the north. He didn't go to London. He went to the north. And I'm not going to cast any aspersions on northern life in the 70s in the UK, but he had a tough time. He had a rough time. Okay, he was probably one of three people in the north of England that were black in that area at that time. It was very white area, but he never saw it as a bad thing, and he won over many people through the way that he focused on relationships. If I may, I want to tell a very quick story about him. So he actually passed away 2 years ago. But before he passed away, I was once in the pub, because in England we go to the pub. That's the bar. Yeah. We go to the pub and we watch football. That's soccer. And we were in the pub one day, and this guy walks past me, and he stops and he says, "Oh, you're Manny's son. Are you Manny's son?" "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Manny's son." One minute. So he brings his wife over, and his wife comes, and his wife says, she said, "This is Manny's son. So I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I'm going to have to tell you the story." She says, "I'll tell the story, because my husband's been telling this story for 20 years. He said 30 years ago, he said, "We all heard in the pub that this black guy was coming. There was no black people in the area. And we heard this guy was coming, and people were asking questions. Is it true that they have superhuman strength? Is it true that they can impregnate your wife by standing near them?"
What?
Yeah, seriously. Like, he said, all of these kind of ideas were going on. He said, and then the guy came, and everyone's like, he's here. And one day we were in the pub, he said, and this is in the late 70s, and he said, the pub goes quiet. He's here. Black man's here. The guy's here. Everyone goes quiet. And he said, and then I saw your dad, my dad. He said, I saw him come through the crowd. And he said, he got to the bar. He said, "All right, love, can I have a pint and a whiskey, please?" And everyone went, so he's just like us then. Yeah.
He was just like us.
He's just like us. And I tell that story because it brought down so many barriers in that moment. And that ability to connect, that ability to feel that we're all going through the same things. Yeah, we might have different colour skin. It might be the 70s in the UK where there's not people of colour. But actually, we're all we're all going through similar journeys. There's similarities in everything that we do, and relationships are key, absolutely key. And this guy went on to say he ended up being a real good friend of my dad's. He told me all about the stuff that they did afterwards, the fun they had, and the time that they had together. And I think, going back to your question and about my focus on relationships, I perhaps didn't realise it when I was younger. I didn't see it. I wish I'd spoke to him more about that part of my character that he brought to me. But I think I've always been focused on relationships. I've always been focused on people. I've always been focused on what drives people and where they are, whether they're inherently good or not. And I've always tried to be fair. It hasn't always worked. I haven't always been the best version of myself. I've made mistakes, but I think that's all part of being human. But I think that the ability to connect at any level, whether that be locally within your community, within your family, within your life, or whether it be globally, thousands of miles away from home, that ability to connect is the most.
Well, you attend a lot of meetings. You go to a lot of networkings. You meet and greet so many peoples, and for me as well, the connecting part is so important. Rather than we try to sell ourselves, rather than we try to tell them who we are, it's totally changed right now. I totally agree with you that in your line of work or my line of work, we are into the business of people.
Yeah.
And I believe people, as I told you off camera, they can make you or break you.
Yeah.
But why some of us, including a lot of startups, a lot of, even corporate, even people in the high level, even in politics, they don't understand the power of people is a simple thing.
Yeah.
Is a really simple.
Yeah.
That people can really help you to get there as a team, as a group, as a tribe, as a community that you said we should build a community. Why do you think is that?
I think it comes back to actually something we were discussing off air, and you said something very, very profound to me. You said, ultimately, it's about people. It's about personal connection, and we're all looking for connection. Like the meaning of life, we sit with our children and we talk about finding the job of our dreams. Or what is a dream? It's a connection. We talk about meeting the man of our dreams, the woman of our dreams, the person of our dreams. We talk about our children and the love that we have for our children, our nephews and nieces and family. It's all about connection. And so I think you're so right with that like we can bring technology in, you can bring online relationships, you can bring all of that, but ultimately it's in the pursuit of connection. And so when you actually sort of strip that back and say, I'm just going to focus on connection, I made a decision when I was 40 years old, only a couple of years ago. You can't believe I'm really 40.
Oh no,
you was going to say 30 then, right? I made a decision when I was 40, and it's a real straight decision, and I'm really open about it, that I was only going to work with good people. That's it. Number one, that's it. I was only going to work with good human beings. I was a little worried about saying that to people, but do you know the number of people that I've gone onto calls with in seriously high positions, high-ranking people, and I've started the conversation with, and I only deal with good people, and they've gone, absolutely, because those connections and working with the wrong types of people, it never works out. It never, ever works out, no matter how high the upside is financially or whatever. Start with the person, start with the connection, and move from there.
I 100% agree with you. A lot of things that happened in my life in past and actually now, and I'm grateful for it because of the connections that I have made during these past 30 years. And, the connection comes to you regardless of their social status, the title, who they are, where they came from, what is the color of their skin, or all this other bullshit. Yeah. Is a true heart-to-heart connections. And this is something that we do not realize. You don't know when you need that person.
No.
And sometimes, it happens that we need something and we need to reach to a person that we can trust.
Yeah.
And you need to build that trust. Yeah. In order to build that trust, you have to connect and you have to earn it.
Yeah.
If I want to be Paul's friend and I want to be in Paul's network or community, I have to earn your trust.
Yeah.
If you cannot trust me, what is the value of that relationship?
Yeah.
It's like dating. It's like marriage.
Yeah.
It's no different because we're all social animals and we need to trust one another. And then when you build that trust, then everything will fall in place.
100%. And when you strip it back to simplicity, in a world where there's so much noise, where there's so many people talking to you, telling you about this and about that, where there's platforms, social media platforms out there, they're all free, so everyone's got this freedom to say whatever they like, and the noise is deafening. I say sometimes you have to think that your target client customer is in, I'm going to use a UK term now, he's in a disco.
Yeah, when I came here, I said, is there any disco guys around
disco,
here?
yeah.
Because in Germany we will call it
It's
disco
too. Yeah, but here it's a nightclub, I guess, or a club. So I liken it to, I think we're in a disco, we're in a club now, right? And the music is turned up high. So if we were sat in a club now, we'd be listening to the music. We wouldn't be talking, would we? We wouldn't be connecting.
Yeah.
So the music's so high. And what I think connection does is turns the music down. So suddenly,
I love that analogy.
It's just now me and you. It's quiet in here. We're just talking. We're connecting. I'm feeling the emotion in what you're saying. You've heard a story that I haven't told to that many people about my father. And hopefully that's creating a connection between us.
Absolutely.
That you feel. You can't feel that online.
No, you can't.
You can't feel that online. You can't feel that without being really authentic. You can't feel those things. And why wouldn't you want an army of people who you've really touched and connected with, who are out there on the streets, whether it be in Manchester, in Austin, in Miami, Tampa, in Boston, Germany? Why wouldn't you want an army of people who are connected to you, who are walking the streets with big branded Rami t-shirts on, saying, and anybody saying, hey, I need some help with this. Oh, you speak to this guy. He'll help you. He'll help you, no problems. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that? And that's what I think people miss.
This is so simple, Paul. You just said it, but I don't get it. Why people make it so complex? For you and I, it's very simple to say that because we were born like that. Yeah. Like, I think we grew up in that kind of environment. I'm like you. I go to the, disco. I go to the, there's a club or the bar or anywhere that I connect with people. It's okay for us.
Yeah.
We approach people. But you just give me something very interesting when we're talking about, the tube, the subway that you said, you go in there in UK and people just sitting and not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Can you just say that again? That was so profound. That was so amazing.
Oh, thank you. So for anybody that's been to the UK, you'll know, by the way, I love London. I'm a northern boy, and anybody that's out there in the UK, they'll know that there's a divide, okay? We're the tough ones in the north.
Yeah.
The southern softies. Right, okay. I probably just switched off half your audience there. I'm only joking, of course. But I love London. London is an amazing city. But the dynamic in the tube, when you're on the tube and you're on the underground there, is phenomenal. It blows me away, right? So you've got a scenario there where, I don't even know what the numbers, there must be hundreds of, a million people, who knows, could be a million people a day that travel on the tube, right? Or hundreds of thousands of people a day, right? So you literally, you have them here, subways, but effectively there's just thousands of people there all the time, right? And this intricate network.
Get in, yeah.
Yeah. And effectively, you're all stood on the platform. Everyone's quiet. No one's talking. And then the tube pulls up and it opens and 100 people get off and 100 people get on. And what I find amazing about that, because I live in the north and where I live, everybody's, everywhere you walk, someone says, hey, how are you doing? How's it going? Well, the weather's terrible. Everyone chats and talks. But you get on there and everybody's sat like this close. So we're sat like this and nobody's talking. And I sit there and I'm looking around like this. It feels so alien to me because I'm looking for eye contact. Somebody look at me and I'm like, hi, you okay? Well, people think you're weird if you start talking on the tube. Like, you must be some crazy guy because nobody talks on the tube. Nobody talks on the underground. And I've often thought to myself, like, what a missed opportunity that is. Like, what a missed opportunity. Like, I know this. I know you're going to agree with this. The amount of times you've walked into somewhere with no intention to do anything and bumped into a guy. My dad used to do this all the time. So everywhere we'd go, he'd be like, we'd just be stood there and be like, hi, how's your day going?
I do that all the time.
And then he'd get talking. And then in the end, he'd end up swapping numbers. And then they'd do a deal. They'd end up doing a business deal 3 years down the line after they'd been for meals and friendships and all this stuff. And these things would go. So how many of those opportunities are we missing? 100 people get off the train. 100 people get on. Some people travel on 10 of those trains a day, right? So what about this for an idea? What about if you got on the train and the train doors open, you only get like 5 minutes on there anyway. So the train doors open, you get on, everyone gets on, and then the train doors shut, and somebody there who's got a challenge or something's going on, just like puts a hand up and says, hey guys, I'm Paul. I'm from Manchester, so I don't really know what I'm doing today. I've got a couple of hours free, and I'd love to meet people who are involved in the charitable sector because I want to start a charity and I want to do this, this, and this. Has anyone got any ideas? Right? Steve in the corner shouts, oh, Paul, I know a charity. They'll definitely speak to you. Just take this number. Yeah? Like, how many of those connections could you have? You know, what about the one I use for you, if you've just written a song? Imagine if you've just written a song. Guys, I've just written a song. I don't know if it's crap or not. I think it's good. My mum thinks it's good, but my mums always think the son's stuff's good, right? But let me sing it to you. You tell me if it's any good. I want booze if it's bad. I want cheers if it's good. Yeah. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. And they played a song. Why are we not doing that? Like, I know it sounds fun, and it would be fun. We'd have a great time on the tube, wouldn't we, if we were listening to music or whatever. But you would get social proof. So let's go to the business angle on that. I'm an artist. I've written a song. I need to know whether the general public like it. So I'm going to go on the tube and I'm going to ask people to cheer if they like it and boo if they don't like it. And I'm going to sing my song. And if they all boo, well, it's a crap song and there's no point in me trying to release it. I move on to the next one. I'm getting social proof for my business idea. There's so many opportunities to connect.
I totally agree with you. And there is a guy in Instagram, I forgot his name, and he became famous. You might heard of him. He sits in the New York subway and he sketch peoples.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he sketched. That's how he started it. He was riding in the tube or the subway and sitting in front of like the way we are sitting, and he started sketching these people without telling them during the time. And then he would turn around and give them their sketch. He say, hey, I sketch you. And oh my God, this guy has got over 10 million followers. Wow. And President Biden, met with him, all these famous people. He just, for no reason, just for free, and he said, "I'm going to sketch you." He had that love and tremendous love and passion for people to do that, and now he figured out that how he can make a business out of it. Now that people are promoting him and so on and so forth, but we miss so much opportunity, and I think one of the reasons that we're not doing it is a fear of judgment, perception, and the most important part is that I got so much shit to deal with. I don't think anybody's going to care if I want to talk to somebody. But I can tell you right now, you are wrong. A lot of people out there like Paul, like me, or any other entrepreneurs that we know, they care. They want to solve problems. Yeah. But you ask, you shall receive. If you don't ask, nobody knows. Yeah. Paul doesn't know if I don't ask Paul, hey, do you know anybody in this area? Yeah. Like you work with a lot of founders. Yeah. You look at a lot of, and I know a lot of companies, they're looking for the smart co-founder. And I can tell, hey, Paul, can you hook up this guy with a qualified co-founder that they can understand the product and marketing, that's what you do. Yeah. Going back to that, you have been working with so many companies. What is the biggest challenge when it comes to the people you have seen that you solved problem? What was the biggest challenge these guys they face?
So I think one way that I've always worked, so we sort of, let's go down that line really, from a business standpoint, linked into people, is I've always thought to myself, okay, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to serve? I'm a service guy, right?
Amen.
That's what I am. I am a service guy. I accept that. I'm also, I was discussing this with a friend of mine the other day. I am Robin to Batman, and I accept that. That's not me like devaluing what I do. I've had some successes, I've had some failures, I've had some big wins, I've had some big losses. But I know that I'm a service guy and that I'm a king maker or a queen maker. That's my job. That's my role. My role is to help elevate other people, utilize everything that I have and all the connections that I have to do that. And so the way that I work with people is, the main challenges that I see here is, I start with the person or the group that I want to work with. I look at what their biggest challenges are. So what are the top 10 challenges of those people that they look, and then I work back from those challenges and what solutions I can provide to those challenges. Because if I can provide solutions to the main challenges of the people that I want to serve, then I will serve them because they need that stuff. And in terms of founders and founder teams, I would say the two biggest challenges that they have are money, so creating revenue, raising capital, and scaling people, dealing with people, and finding the right people to help them to build the business. Because business is a team sport. It's not a single game. It's a game where you in order to scale anything, you've got to have great people around you. And so what I've been able to do over the last few years is to leverage all of the experience that I've had in the multiple businesses that I've owned and the multiple, I think with the businesses that I've owned, we've recruited over 10,000 people over the last decade. The last business that I owned 3 years ago within the recruitment space, we had 700 contractors out at any one time, 40 to 50 internal staff. I've made a lot of mistakes, so I'm able now to provide valuable information and insight into what it takes, the pros and cons of building those teams, and how to make sure that you scale efficiently and appropriately, cost effectively, but most importantly, that you get the right people in the right seat. Because if you get the wrong people into your business, it will go so wrong so quickly. And I think they're the main challenges.
When you pick the people to match with the concept organization, what you're looking into with those people, is it character? Is it technical skills? Is it their passion for growth? Is it their drive?
Yeah.
Is it their attitude? They do have a winning attitude?
Yeah.
Or what is it that it will attract you? Say, hey, bam, I'm going to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
I
think it comes back to connection. So what I always say to the businesses that I work with, the founders that I work with, is, what is your North Star? Like, what is the thing that you want to do as a human, as a person, as a man, as a woman? But as a business, like, what is the mission? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? Once a business understands their North Star, then it's got an opportunity, because it's got an opportunity to do things like this, where it goes out and it talks about the way in which that North Star manifests itself, that people focus, that life. And by doing that, what you begin to do is you begin to attract inbound inquiries. Because Jeff, who works in car sales, he picks up on this vibe. He's like, oh, I really like what these guys are doing. And suddenly he wants to work for you because he believes in the mission, and he believes in the people. And then because the skill set's easy to match, like LinkedIn can do that for you, a resume can do that for you. It's not hard to have, I did this or I did that, or, everybody, that's a market that everybody's in. But what about dealing in a market about personal connection? What about, what about being so open with your brand that you attract amazing people? I look at brands like Patagonia, for example, and all of the heuristic elements to their business, and the fact that they're so mission driven, and family owned. They were for many, many years. I read the book actually, and I look at kind of the ways in which they attract people, and you can create movements where people then it's not just about money anymore. You know, people aren't going to leave you because they get 10% more from the place down the road. They're going to be bought into that, and I think that is the key. So we can segment markets based upon skill sets, based upon education. You know, I've got a Stanford education, I've got a Harvard education, all of that stuff. Personally, I might upset a lot of people here. I don't think employers are even remotely interested. You know,
really,
I've worked with hundreds, thousands of employers. I can count on one hand the number of them that ask me where they got the degree from. I can count on one hand the number of them that ask me what they got in their degree. That might be down to the sectors I've recruited in as well. Because obviously, if you were a doctor, then you really, you know,
some fields you got to have a degree.
You got to have that, yeah. But the point, I'm not trying to devalue degrees, by the way. What I'm saying is that we live in a world whereby people want you to feel it. They want you to want it. They want you to be able to demonstrate that you've done it.
Experience.
Yeah, they want you to. They want employees to they want guys to come in who care. You know, if they're in climate tech, if they're, you know, I'm working with a company at the moment that's like looking to kind of save the world. They only want people who want to save the world. I could put the best scientist on the planet in front of them. If that scientist was all about, you know, creating watches for Bulgari, they wouldn't want them because they only want people who want to save the world. And people have that choice now. So I think it's about being authentic. It's about being focused on what it is you want to achieve. You know, we work a huge part of our lives, so we must do things that we enjoy doing.
You got to be passionate for what you do, and as you know, my understanding, it goes back to who you want to be, as you said.
Yeah, the North Star.
The North Star, because you know, a degree, I'm like you, I'm not against any degree. I went to university, I studied, but it's just a tool.
Yeah.
Nobody taught me at university that how to connect with people.
No.
Or the importance of people in society or life or work. Nobody told me that.
No.
We didn't have a course for it. We didn't have a course how to connect with people. You know, how to be like a social person.
Yeah.
What is the value of people in this country or anywhere? Nobody taught us that. We learn it through our difficulties, challenges, experiences, winners, the lose that, you know, we faced.
I think it's because there's no straight line. I think we're in a world now whereby, you know, we were saying before, you want a cab, you click the Uber app. You want something to eat, you click Uber Eats. You want Netflix, you click Netflix. Everything's in the palm of our hands. Everything's here. Everything's now. Everything's a straight line. You know, many years ago, I'm going to show my age now, but many years ago, you know, you joined a company. If you were lucky, you worked there 20 years. If you were really lucky, in the last 5 years, you got general manager. And if you were really, really lucky, you worked really hard, you got to be director and you got a gold watch. Right?
Yeah.
That was the way it used to be. Now, we're creating more billionaires per year than ever before. The rate's going up every year. So this world has found a way to create straight lines to everything. And I think one of the challenges that guys like you and I have, in some respects, is there is no straight line to a relationship.
There is not.
Sometimes I come out here and I spend a lot of money to be out here. And sometimes I come and I have 20 conversations and they're all terrible. They don't work. Like sometimes it just doesn't work. Like sometimes it's not valuable, right? There is no straight line. That's the key. But what I would say is the wins are bigger than any straight line investment.
Oh, yeah.
You might have one. I might come here to the US for a week and have 2 conversations out of 150 that are just life-changing, completely life-changing.
But the things that we as entrepreneurs, as most of us, we don't understand that it takes time.
Oh, yeah.
Really, you know, it's not a overnight success.
No.
Entrepreneurship or what you do or I do or a lot of people like us, It's not an overnight success. How many years you have practiced? How many years you connected with so many people? Like you had 2 wins, 3 wins, or 3 qualified great friends, or that add value to your life and business and vice versa. We want the easy way out, always as a human.
Yeah, and it's the tangibility of that. Like, what is a win? So I'm going to be quite open with you right here now, right? What is a win? So people will look at this from the outside, especially people in business, and they'll go, what? So you get 1 qualified win from 6 months' work? Yeah, that could be a really good win. Could be $1 million, could be $10 million, could be $100,000. Who knows what it could be, right? But what is a win? Because what happens if instead of us measuring a win by, a dime and a dollar, that we measured it with what is the impact on my life, right? How many times, you don't know, people don't know this, you don't know whether your warmth, Rami, you've sent a message one day to a guy who's in a hotel room contemplating their life and whether it was worth living anymore because something had happened, and you sent that message to them and said, hey, Steve, I'm thinking about you today. Hope you're all right.
You're absolutely right.
I hope. You don't know that. I haven't been in that position, thankfully, in my life. I haven't been in that position. But there's been times where, I'm traveling on my own. I'm away from my family. I wake up and I feel, you get those pangs of like, I miss them so much and I want to be with them. And maybe, one of them ran a race at school and you missed the race, and you only know what that feels when you're a father or your mother or a caregiver. And I felt low. And in those moments, there's been people who just out of the blue sent me a voice message saying, hey, Paul, just woke up this morning thinking of you. She's going to know who she is if she's listening to this. She does it to me all the time. And what is the success of that connection? Like that's intangible. That is intangible. You might have just steered somebody away from something catastrophic.
You're absolutely
with the
right.
connection. And so I think part of the challenge we have now in the current day is the metric that we put on everything. Because the metric now is how much money do you earn?
Which is totally wrong.
So, you've just been on this business trip, yeah. How much money did you close?
I hate it when people ask that.
Yeah. Oh, you went into that room, yeah. How many prospects did you win? Yeah.
You're absolutely
But
true.
actually, if we kind of like, I said, like a Men in Black moment, if somebody just like wipe your memory, forget about all that stuff and focus on connection. Actually, when we started to measure how many times, because we're the symptom of our thoughts, how many times have we been feeling really down and a connection has lifted us up and made us feel much better that day? How many marriages has that saved? How many relationships with children has that saved? Because you woke up in a terrible mood, but you had a connection with somebody that lifted you up. Yeah? If we started to think about that stuff, actually, is that not really the meaning of life? Like, are we not really all in I'm talking really cheesy here, but is it not really the pursuit of happiness? Really? We're all looking for happiness and peace, aren't we?
Yep.
We're all looking to get to a point where we just feel completely at ease, where our loved ones are happy and warm and comfortable, where we're fed and everyone's, that we're all looking for that, really. And so why not make that the target with the currency of connection and see everything else works out?
Last week I received a text, one of my dear friends, like we are business college friends, and, he just sent me a text out of the blue. He said, hey, I just want to say hi, that, and make sure you're doing okay. If you need anything, just remember, I'm always here to talk. And that day, actually, I was doing something that I had to make a decision. And I sent him a text. I said, oh my God, that was the right time. Can we meet? And then we met, and then he gave me some guidance. He talked about it. It wasn't for money. It wasn't for, and he's a very busy executive and a very busy life, but he made the time for me for like 20 minutes, and we met and we talked. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. You'll never forget that, will you?
No, and you cannot put a price on that.
You'll never forget that. And for as long as you live, if there's ever anything you can do for that guy, you will do it.
Absolutely.
For as long as you live.
Absolutely.
What better currency is there than that? There's no better currency, is there? Like, there's no... Actually, if you want to win in this world, imagine the ability to make 100,000 people feel the way he made you feel there.
Wow.
And make 1 million people feel like that. If you could make 1 million people feel that way, you could never lose. Because those people would always be on your team for the rest of their lives.
But, you know, the question is how many people out there are like you and I? We need more people like you and I. I think we need to shift the perspective of people. You know, what are you really thinking?
Yeah.
You know, in any speaking engagement, any sitting and telling stories, I always tell people that we as a people, when we come together, we can do great things.
Yeah.
As you said, we can change things.
Yeah.
We can change things for better. But how can we do that? Community?
Yeah.
Bringing everybody together. And at the end of the day, what is the why? Yeah. If we understand that, I think we're going to have a better world. Yeah,
I think it's about what we must change. I mean, it's all. I think a lot of it's. I mean, I'm not shedding any dispersions on capitalism, but I think a lot of it's based around capitalism. And I'm a capitalist. I look to earn money as well. I believe in.
There's nothing wrong with
life.
that.
I believe in earning great money. I love all of that stuff as well, and I want people to be successful. But I think what's happened is we've become more and more and more scientific. But it's a bit like the news. Like, is what we're being told actually the truth? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, by the way. Right? I'm not one of those guys. I don't sit at home with tinfoil on my head thinking the government's trying to put waves in my brain. But is it really the truth? Like, do the news outlets really tell us what is actually going on? Are they telling us what they need to tell us in order for a specific agenda? And I talk about this all the time with consumerism. Like, you know, in my industry, for example, there's an element of like this, data-driven sales metrics. Okay, cool, yeah. And we're going to, the data you've got to get is this specific data, and it's this, and this, and it's this, and this. It just so happens that you can purchase that data for a princely sum of $45,000 a year with a company called X. They're not actually called X.
Been there.
Yeah, this company called X or Y, right? Okay. Now, so the question is that data actually important? Is it actually the key to success? Or did the company who creates the data have a marketing team so good that they've managed to impregnate hundreds of thousands of people's brains into believing that data is so important? And so what's happening is, because the disco and the noise is so high in the disco, we're getting fed all this information and we latch onto certain parts of it, and it's all part of consumerism. And then we focus on people don't walk into rooms anymore and focus on connections like you and I. They walk into the room and think, I need to speak to 4.7 people because 4.7 people gets me 2.3 calls. 2.3 calls gets me one pitch.
The numbers calculation.
You know what? Yeah. That's kind of how people think now.
Yes, I have seen it.
That's how people think.
In action, actually.
That is how people think. They go into a room and think, I've got to speak to 80 people. If I speak to 80 people, that'll be 50 people that'll come back to me. If 50 people come back to me, I'll get 30. I get one lead and I'll get 10 grand. Yeah? It's not that way. It's not that way. I know for a fact, we've not even discussed this, but if you wouldn't do, you're far too much of a gentleman. But if I asked you to tell me what the biggest deal you've ever done was, this was a reverse podcast, and I asked you to tell me about this, I guarantee that deal would have come from a friendship, a connection, a relationship that you could never have tracked.
Never. Actually,
never.
It happened to me, and I tell you that this is a story that I always tell in my podcast, that the power of doing good things for people and do something out of your heart. When I started a company, I was working in the coffee shop, grabbing a coffee, come up with a plan, do all that stuff, executing. And I was sitting, and I got up to go grab my coffee, and I was in the line, and I saw a bunch of ladies. They are discussing about Google Maps and locations, all that stuff. And At that time, I was working with Google as a trusted verifier. I could verify a location on Google on behalf of Google's. And I went to the lady and I said, "You are very upset. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
How can I help you?" And she said, "How can you possibly help me with it?" I said, "I think I can solve your problem." And she said, "How?" I said, "Can I borrow your laptop?" And I borrowed her laptop. I put my code, scanned my badge, solved the problem. The location came online, and then I give it back to her. And she said, "That's it?" I said, "Yeah, that's it." "How much do I owe you?" I said, "Nothing. I just did my work. It's my job." And she said, "Thank you. Can I buy you coffee?" I said, "No, thank you. I already ordered my coffee. I just go grab it from the counter." And then I went and grabbed my coffee, and she came back and said, "Can I have your card, business card?" I said, "Sure." 3 or 4 weeks later, the director of operation for that organization called me, and he said, "I heard what you did for our studio manager, and I just want to say thank you and invite you for lunch, and we can connect." I said, "Sure." And we connect. And make the story short, that brand was Orange Theory Fitness, one of the biggest fitness brand, and they work with us for almost, they still do some part, for 8-9 years, $100,000 of account. I didn't know who they are, I swear to God, after I put the location. And I didn't do it for money. No. I didn't ask for anything. It's just, as you said.
And you can't trace that.
I can't. I couldn't trace it. I couldn't put a dollar on it because I didn't know it. Oh, if I talk to this lady, this is it. I didn't do that. No. And many things happen in my life because of that.
It's so true. Like the amount of people that I've spoken to who I didn't, on the face of it, didn't need to help, didn't, had no obligation to do that. There was nothing in it for me on the face of it. And then, like you say, 2 weeks, I did it. In fact, I'll give you an example. It's not actually come to fruition yet, but it probably could. So, I, as you know, I work with a lot of communities, and I work with a lot of startups. And one thing that I love to do is get involved with educational institutions, right? So, because universities, because that's where the new talent is, that's where the new rising stars are, and I want to understand where that is, and how how we can get these guys into work and get them ready, fit to be the next generation of superstars. And for a while now, I'd been looking for a good connection, somebody who bought into what we're trying to do at UT. Okay, I've got a great connection in Miami, at Miami-Dade, and I've got some great connections all over, but I haven't got a connection there. So I get on the plane, and I'm sat in coach, of course, because I'm not that rich. I'm sat in coach, and I was one of the last allocated seats, and I'm sat in the middle of 2 big guys next to me, and I'm not a small guy either, so 3 big guys in coach, right? Oh, no. And the plane's full. And I look to my right, and some unfortunate family, it must be, of 3, have not managed to get on the plane, because the only 3 seats in the whole plane. I speak to the air host, and I say, "Is there any chance I can sit in one of those? Because it's a bit more space. There's 3 big guys here." So anyway, and he's like, "Sure." And as I get up, I look to my right, and there's a lady, and she's a very tall lady. And she's really struggling and really like wriggling around. But of course, people don't always want to like put themselves out there and move. They're like quite reserved. I'm on a British Airways flight, of course. British are a bit more reserved, yeah. And she wasn't actually British, from Austin, actually. And I said, "Excuse me, I'm just wondering, there's probably a spare chair here next to me, or the one next to that. So do you want to take that chair?" And she was like, "Oh, you saved my life. Thank you. My knees were hurting and everything else." So she sits down, and we start to talk. And we're talking about kids, and I'm showing her. She's like, "Oh, have you got kids?" "Yeah, I've got kids." And she's like, "These are my kids." And we were chatting away, and for probably about an hour, we'd taken off by the time, they were bringing out drinks by the time we finished up. And right at the very end, she says, "What do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I work in tech, effectively. I work with people, founders and startup founders and VCs and subject matter experts, and I help to build these communities." And I'm trying to reduce the failure in 5 years ratio for startups across the globe. That's my big mission. She says, that's a really great thing. So what do you do? She says, I'm the director of people at UT.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. Well, I'm really glad that I bumped into you. So we swapped numbers. She actually offered me a drive. She actually offered me a lift from the airport into Austin. And that is a new connection of mine.
Wow.
And that's it.
It happened like that.
Just this time.
And you know, the important part of this story was this. You actually asked her, or she asked you at the end of the conversation, what do you do?
Yeah.
Which is this day, a lot of people, as you know, you go to New York.
Yeah, the lead with that.
The first thing.
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you earn? No.
It's so awkward.
Yeah.
It's really so awkward.
But you don't know, do you? So I say this all the time. I say to people all the time, look, just have the conversation, right? If you feel there's a nice fit and you like the person, have the conversation. Give them 10 minutes of your time. Be interested. It's nice. It actually feels good. And you'll feel better for it. You'll walk away and you'll feel uplifted from that conversation. But you don't know, just because, you know, Steve's getting a lot of attention this morning. I keep calling people Steve, don't I? Just because Steve is not in tech, and because Steve actually is in construction, and Steve doesn't necessarily, you know, he's told you what he does. He probably doesn't earn the right bracket that you think people should earn, or whatever it is that your biases are. What about if Steve really likes you, and Steve's wife is the CEO of Google?
It happens.
How do you know? How do you know?
You don't.
What happens if it's not his wife? What happens if it's his sister-in-law? And he gets off the plane and he says, do you know what? I met this guy. He was such a lovely guy. He told me all about his family. He seems really authentic. I really like him. And he's in tech. And I think you could help him. Satya Nadella. I think you could really help him. You know, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? So I think that's really important. Like, don't judge people based on, judge them based upon, are they a nice person? That's the main thing. You get that vibe straight away, don't you? You sit down with somebody, you think, oh.
Yeah. You get that feeling,
right. Make that the judge. If they're not a good person, maybe walk away from that one. But if it's a good person, go with it.
Because you can feel it. The moment you start talking to somebody and you can feel that, you get a sense of what's going on. Yeah. And as you said, if it's not, just walk away. Not every person is going to be a great connection. Yeah. We don't say that. You have to go on the street and say, hey, hi, this is Paul. We don't say that. We just say take advantage of the moments. Yeah. The moments that you're not going to get back.
100%. The last thing I'll say on that is a friend of mine actually runs a really successful podcast as well. And he's really fortunate to... He kind of interviews a lot of like unicorn CEOs, like real big hitters, and he says openly, like, if you had to judge who the biggest assholes are, it's never the big hitters. Never. They're the most humble ones. He said it's usually the corporate climbers, the ones who think they've got to be, you know, that certain way, that act in that way. But actually, the people that have done it, the people that really, they're just normal people, because they know if you've had success, you know how hard that success is to come by. You know that you need community. You know that you need good people around you. You know, and so that's something that I like to tell people, because I think that sometimes we're driven by role models. Yep. So let's put some good role models in front of people. That's one solution. You know, let's promote good role models, good human beings, so that other people look at that and think, hey, well, I'm gonna model that behavior.
You know, what would you tell new founders out there are listening or watching, or people that are looking for co-founders, looking for money, for investment, or for subject matters, you know? Yeah. What would you tell them? What would be the first thing these guys they have to do before reaching out to you, but what they have to do? Because it's a big problem out there right now. I have seen it.
I think clarity is the main thing. I think any time in my life where I've had real clarity I've been able to have success. I think we talked about before about North Star.
Yep.
I think it starts with you as a human. What do I want? What helps me to sleep at night? What do I need on a personal level? Then I've created this amazing thing. Like, founders are so passionate, created this amazing product. Like, what big problem does it solve? What is its mission? What is this business's North Star? I think once you have those nailed down, your decisions are much easier. Everything's easier, because there's going to be shiny stuff that gets put in front of you, you know. But actually, once you've got that clarity, I've got clarity on the picture, the North Star's there, this opportunity's come and it's shiny, and it's taking my attention, but it's taking me this way. So I can't do it. I can't go that way. I've got to go this way, because this is where I'm going. And these are the reasons why I'm going there. I'm going there because I want to be a better father, I want to be a better husband, I want to be a better person, I want to be this, I want to be this, and I want the business to solve this and this and this problem. So even though that's a great opportunity, I can't do it, I've got to do this. And so I would say the first thing you must do is you must find your North Star on a personal level. You must find your North Star, and that you don't have to go soul searching for this. Like, what do you want most? You know, if your North Star is just want to earn $1 billion, if that is your North Star, whilst I don't necessarily think that's a great North Star, if that is what you really want, that's what you're passionate about, then go for that. If that's,
there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think the key is find out what your North Star is. Have some clarity on that in the first instance. Once you've got that North Star and that clarity, that's going to help you to make decisions along the way. You know, which investors do you want to invest in this business? What types of people do you want around you in this business?
Do you think people invest in a concept or a people?
So I think when the market was booming, I think it was really easy for investors to say, oh, we invest in people because it's like feels warm and fuzzy and it feels like good. I think in the current market where it's very, very tough to get investment, I think that it's about risk management. I think that everything is about a risk profile. And I think that the person
and the product or concept would play a big role. And the concept
and the risk attached to that. And also, really importantly, what metric is that VC under? So, you know, if I'm here today and my boss is telling me that the only thing that matters, the only thing that I'm going to get paid on today is if I manage to give you a kick before I leave. Well, at some point I've got to give you a kick, right?
Yeah.
So it's about changing those metrics, yeah, and looking at it in a different way.
But, you know, I learned so much from you, man. Today, you know, I really mean it. I learned so much from you, and I think I have an amazing friend in my you know, community right now. We can be friends for a long time. I can feel it.
I agree.
And, you know, and we can help each other. Not only each other, we can help so many other people along the way.
I agree.
Which is, that's our mission. That's my mission. That's your mission. And we can create great things together. If people, they want to get a hold of you, ask question, how they can get a hold of you.
I think at this stage, I mean, we're just going through the process actually of some branding stuff, as you guys are well aware of. And we're going through the process of updating the website and various other things. I think the easiest way to get a hold of me at the moment is via LinkedIn, where there's a lot of content going out, a lot of information. You're going to be able to binge, if you want to, the stuff that I'm doing at the moment, and you'll be able to see what I'm up to. So LinkedIn's probably the best way. You won't struggle to find me. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Paul Manivannan on LinkedIn.
That would be awesome, and I look forward to attend your event today.
Yes,
you're gonna have an amazing event in Austin, Texas, and a lot of good people. They're gonna be there, and I'm grateful to be there and just connect with other people as well. But welcome to Austin again, and you need anything, we're here.
Thank you, and I really, really appreciate this. I didn't know exactly what this conversation was going to be today, but I was really open, and I have to say I'm so impressed. You've managed to pull out some like hidden things. Very talented, very kind of open conversation, and it's been really authentic. Like I felt genuine connection, which is great.
Thank you, buddy.